Hey guys, Arctic here. It's Thursday, 8 a.m., and it is motivational morning time. I got a request from Gabe Rivera to do and to talk about being yourself. And he wanted me to share some stories, probably some personal stories about my life, which I have no problem doing, of times when I guess, or how I kind of started to separate my line of thinking from other people. Conforming, I guess, is the word I want to use. So this is probably most difficult when you are in your high school or, just adolescent age range. And it can also be, an impact your life in the corporate workspace or just your career in general, depending on what you do. So I guess I'll start kind of when I was in high school. I don't know if I think you're at an age where you don't really know what you want to do in high school. And you don't have a clear picture of how the world works. And, so the goals you kind of have, you sit there, write it down on a piece of paper and your teacher asks you, well, what do you want to do in life? And, I want to be an astronaut. And you don't really have the mindset to, okay, I want to be an astronaut. What do I need to do in order to do that? Right? You're taking all the wrong classes. You're in, you're in PE and your teacher asks you that you need to be in, calculus and physics and all this stuff. And you're just not taking those classes. So, I mean, that's just an example of what I'm talking about where, you don't really start to learn about being yourself until you get out of that age range. But for me in high school, being an athlete, I would say I never was really one that was hanging out with everyone else. I was never really the guy that was going out to the parties or hanging out with a bunch of friends. I had a really, really tight circle, and most of it consisted of being with family. If you saw me anywhere, be at the movies, that's about it. I think in my entire time in high school, I maybe went to 3 parties, and I think all of them were my senior year. So I was never the guy that was hanging out with everyone else. So I didn't really develop a sense of this is what everyone else is doing. I need to do that too. I will say sometimes in school, I would definitely hang around with the same type of people and develop relationships where, we might occasionally hang out after school. But for the most part, that was never me. Now, when I got to college, everything was kind of turned upside down, right? There was the peer pressure there is, you think it's intense in high school, but once you get to college and you don't have that parental figurehead or entity that's telling you need to do your homework, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to follow these rules. That's where things really start to become difficult. Now, when I got to school, I wanted to study, and I actually started studying my freshman year, computer engineering. Now, for anyone that is in computer engineering or does engineering as a major in general, that's pretty intense field of study. And if you're an athlete and you try to do engineering, I feel like I'm a pretty intelligent person, but you need to have a level of dedication and willingness to sacrifice a lot of things and with time to make it so that is so you can get a passing grade. Let me just put it that way. So for me, my freshman year, with aspirations to get into the computer engineering scene and understand it, and only to be told and find out that it is just way too difficult for me at the time to put in the time I was doing for football because I really wanted to succeed there, seeing that how far behind I was, and wanting to succeed in computer engineering. So I had an ultimatum. Right, I had to decide between that field of study or football, and I chose football. And I look back at that and I was like, man, I really wanted to do that. And football for me didn't last forever, right? I'm not in the pros, and actually my freshman year I got hurt, and then I got hurt again the very last game I played. And at that point, I was pretty much done with football. After I got my last injury, I was like, man, I feel like I have too much to offer the world to be worried about being injured about something. So, having an injury and having to worry about all that stuff. So, I look back on that decision, and that was probably the one area where I conformed. I wasn't myself. Like, that's not what I wanted to do. And yet I decided to switch my major and continue to play. And that's probably where it really hurt me. Now, this had effects later in my life, almost immediately thereafter I chose not to play. And the biggest impact that I had, and I had a rocky relationship with my father, outside of sports, but when they found out, some of the people in my family found out I was done playing football, there was no communication for literally years. No phone calls, no how you doing, no birthday cards, no nothing. And this is from my father and that side of my family. So, that was a huge eye-opener for me about the people in my inner circle and what I wanted to pursue in my life and how I could be passionate about what I was doing, productive in that area, and continue to self-improve. That was the eye-opener. That was the light bulb that went off for me about, man, I really need to choose something that I want to do, because the people that are supporting XYZ, they might not really care about that. So, if I'm doing it for them, that's the wrong reason. I need to do it for me. So the gates open and I just step right through. And since that point in time in my life, I've been pretty much on the course to do things that I'm passionate about, that I enjoy, that I find productive, and that continually provide a sense of self-improvement for me. The other big key here is that I make sure that I do things that don't have a negative, adverse effect on the quality of other people's lives. And what I mean by that is kind of a moral, idealistic wishful thinking maybe that I have about the decisions that I make. And to give you an example, you guys, some of you, or maybe none of you, might be bullies. You might enjoy bullying. That might be who you are. You might be a bully. But that has a negative, adverse effect on someone else's life. All right? There's corporate people out there. I don't know who. I'm just throwing this out there as an example. Could be polluting the ocean. Could be polluting the surrounding area and your tap water that you drink. The decisions that they make to do that are having a negative, adverse effect on the quality of other people's lives. So those are the kind of idealistic goals I have with making decisions and being myself, and how I kind of pursue my life. One last point I think that Gabe wanted me to talk about, because he mentioned YouTubers and kind of being myself in that regard. When I think about the content that I produce, I want to, again, do things that I enjoy doing. That's the biggest thing with content production, especially on YouTube, or even like this with like a podcast style thing where it's not necessarily a video, but I'm just talking about my ideas and ideals in life. I want to, I might be influenced by something, but I don't want to feel like I can't make my own informed decision based off of the knowledge that I gain. So if I like a game, I may do content for a game. But I'm not going to do content because you want me to do content. I'm going to do content because I enjoy that. That is what I want to do. So the content that I've kind of seen people produce or ask me about typically is along the lines of, well, how should I do this? How should I make this video? How or what is this person doing that I need to do? And then you kind of see the cycle of people mimicking other styles, other personalities. And that's not really authentic. That's not being yourself. And eventually I think those people kind of peter out, right? I think they kind of lose momentum because they're not really passionate about what they're doing. So that's my biggest, tip of advice, my life story, a little bit of how I kind of develop into this mindset of being myself and being authentic to who I am. And doing the things that, again, I'm passionate. I like to use that word, passionate about, that I'm compelled to pursue because that is who I am. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace.